Hey everyone, welcome to the Food and Tech Austin Meetup. My name is Asiago. I'm one of the organizers of tonight's event, so thank you so much for coming out. This is our second meetup at Capital Factory, and we'll be here for another 3 meetups. We do them in cycles of 5. I always like to start with this slide. This is our membership slide. It's been really great to see so many new members. We're averaging over one a day, so thank you so much for signing up at foodtechatx.com for membership. I scratch out the foodies and put foodists because this isn't a group to just eat delicious food. Obviously, we do that. You know, it's a food meetup. We got to eat good food. But the foodist part is about people taking action, right? Because this meetup is really about trying to cultivate an ecosystem here in Austin for food and tech entrepreneurs and startups. If you follow any of this online, you'll see how the Northeast and the Northwest are just booming in this newly formed industry. And I think that Austin can be that third pillar, if you will. So that's what we're trying to cultivate in this space. So thank you so much for all your work and coming out and being foodists here in Austin. Of course, if you want to join the community, we do have some funds that we do need to pay for space and all that sort of stuff. So it's $5 a year. So you can sign up at Food Tech ATX, and that really supports the group. So thank you so much. How we do the meetup cycles, we do them in cycles of 5 meetups. That's our meetup cycles, and it's based around the food life cycle. So those who study food systems systems, production lines. It starts obviously with production, processing, distribution, consumption, and then waste and recovery. And so that's the same topic that we focus on. And tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about, processing. This is kind of the process meetup, if you will. Again, like I was speaking before, there's a booming industry of food and tech right now, and I'm not sure if you guys pay attention to this. This is a map that they do every year from Food and Tech Connect that shows you kind of the layout of the land. Well, the thing that makes me really sad is there's so much stuff going on in Austin, and only about 3 of them actually made it on the map. And so, there's Greenling, Tabbed Out, and then I don't even know if this should be considered a startup, but Open Table is one that came out of Austin as well. But the point is that I want to see more Austin startups on this. And so the space is really for you guys to help cultivate each other's startups, give each other brutal feedback. We'll do some more activities, but the thing that we're doing in this space is really cultivating that strong ecosystem of community. Who the heck am I? My name's Asiago online. My real name's Daniel Herron. I've been living in Austin for about 6 years, a little bit over 6 years, and I've always worked in either the tech industry or the food industry. I just met a lot of people working in this crossroads space, and I said, hey, why don't we cultivate some of this? I think we really got something here. And nobody was taking initiative, so I just started it. And we started this about a year ago, so it's been great to see so many people join and help get the word out about some of the cool stuff coming out of Austin. Something new that this meetup has kind of gotten out of hand. I've always done it as a labor of love over the last year by myself. We started at Tech Ranch. I was the director of ops at Tech Ranch for a couple years. And now it's kind of got out of hand. As you can kind of see, this is kind of a hard event for one person to do. So this event really came together, of course, with all the participants today, but I really want to recognize 2 of our members on our newly formed leadership team, and so I'm going to let them have a chance to introduce themselves.
Hey guys, I'm Jeffrey. I'm with Chomp, that team over there. So we started Chomp about 9 months ago, and it's basically just an app like Yelp, but instead of going to a restaurant level, we go down to the dish level. So giving you more personalized feed on your phone. My background is in marketing, and I met Daniel about, I guess, 5 months ago now. And yeah, we've been in touch ever since, and here I am. So.
Hey guys, I'm Okshika. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Taste Coffee, and we're creating an app called Tasty. And what it essentially is a dish recommendation system for you guys. And our roots are very much in the food and tech community. We validate it over and over again with you guys, and really appreciate the feedback. And for all the startups that are here, really utilize this meetup because it is the epicenter of food and tech in Austin. And I work with Food and Tech for their social media and the liaisons for the startups. Thank you.
Great. Well, let's give them a round of applause for helping us out tonight. They really went to town. Joffrey put together this whole amazing mentor panel, which we're going to introduce right after the little sponsor and opportunity section, as well as Moshika started up a whole new Twitter profile for us, and it's kind of covering the whole scene. You know, like 13-year-old girls getting $60,000 from Shark Tank should probably be, you know, if you know who that is, you should know who that is. But anyways, so if you're interested in joining the leadership team, come meet with me and we'll help you out. All right, sponsors, we couldn't do this without them. Is there a representative of Capital Factory? Is Josh here? Okay, well, Ashley's here, and she's the nice girl sitting at the table, so let's give her a hand for putting this on as well. She's the one who comes in and helps clean up, so let's try to make Ashley happy by cleaning up all together so she's not here till 11 o'clock at night. So thank you, Capital Factory, for hosting us. I'd like to invite Jack. Are you coming up?
Yeah.
Jack up from one of our food and beverage sponsors tonight. Jack.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? I'm Jack Hoover. I'm from Mr. Delivery, and I'm the head of digital marketing there. What Mr. Delivery is a restaurant delivery company. I don't know if you guys have heard of us before, but we deliver for over 65 plus restaurants here in Austin. What makes us different from everyone else is that we're also a restaurant marketing company, and that's kind of how we leverage our partnerships with our restaurants, Clay Pit, and our generous food sponsors here, Red Mango, Pita Pit, and Cadobo. Let's thank them for bringing the food. Our goal as a company is to bring you restaurant delivery fast, and we do that under 45 minutes usually. Our goal is to provide great customer service, and that's why we have such a great customer loyalty base. We have repeat customers that order multiple times a week, and we strive to make sure you get your order perfectly on time and the same quality as if you were sitting in the restaurant ordering it. We have an online ordering platform which you can go on to at www.mrdelivery.com and view all the restaurant menus that we deliver for. I'm also going to bring our tech guy in here for a couple seconds just to kind of explain that aspect of it.
Hi, I'm Patrick. We do, like you said, we have an online ordering platform. We also have dispatching, only one call center for 19 cities. And we subcontract with drivers in every city. Am I supposed to be telling them those things? Just bleeds through for me. We're doing good.
Yeah, we're hoping to expand into 3 or 4 more cities this summer. If you guys want to try us out, step over here. We have $5 coupons that'll waive the delivery fee of $4.99 for your first order. Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for All right, I'm going to try to go through this because I know we're running a little bit behind schedule, but I always like to take an opportunity. I get a lot of emails for opportunities and those sorts of stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how the best way to distribute it to the community, but I'm trying to go through these opportunities really quick. First is I want to talk, or is she here? Do you want to come up, or you want to talk from where you're at? Just kind of shout out what we're doing with your wonderful, amazing nonprofit tonight.
Yeah, so I think the email went out and they'll get some donations for any cooking utensils, and we're sort of taking those if you have them. We basically work with the foster care system, and what we do is we help kids who are aging out of the foster care system really kind of embrace the culinary arts, not only if they want to work in it, but also just how food brings people together and that sense of family. So if you want to talk any more afterwards, I'll be over there.
So I like to call them startup kids. We're going to start some cooking up. So if you've got some equipment that you want to donate to them, they've got a little table up there. Twitter, Moshika, do you want to say something real quick?
So we're being a lot more active in Twitter, and that's part of our new initiative to really reach out to every single person in food and tech in Austin. So I want you guys to take out your phones right now and tweet about this event and how awesome it is. So our tag is at FoodTechATX, and you can also hashtag FoodTechATX. And so yeah, thanks guys.
Yeah, she's really gone to town. I went from 0 to 100 in like a week. It was great. So there's some really good, it's both local and global news, so it's really good for that. Our partners over at the Food Lab, the UT Food Lab, they did a challenge. We helped organize a challenge with them back in February, and they had a really cool startup booklet. And Robin Metcalf over there asked me to distribute this to you all because it's a very good example of some very success stories. It's a little bit more foodie focused than techie focused, but the point is there's some really good case examples in there as well. So you can download that at our meetup. You just go to the files button and you'll have a PDF there. And we're going to hope to work with them to update that as we go, so you'll have some more resources. We added a new functionality to the profile, so we want you guys to put your URL. So if all those 500 or so members that are new and didn't get to put in their URL, please put your URL in there. That way we can actually get to your Twitter and stuff a little bit quicker. It's also a good time, if you haven't done so already, to pay your membership dues. So that's great. This right here, just know that we've got a really solid foundation for community now. With over 500 members, and you guys have always been very collaborative. Just curious, whose first time is it here tonight? Okay, about half. So maybe you guys are the 33 that signed up. That's great. So hopefully my retention will get better, and you guys will be back those less hands. So we're working with these organizations on getting you guys some actual entrepreneur training. So we're trying to figure out, and there'll be a survey that comes out soon about what you guys are, what stage you're at, what you're looking for in such of a program. So just know that we're working with some amazing Austin organizations on that. Is Jess here? I don't think Jess made it. Okay, we're gonna skip that. All right, mentors. I'm gonna let Joffrey introduce the mentors, and then we'll go into our pitches.
Yeah. So yeah, the purpose of this mentors today is really to get us to understand what is going on in the restaurant space. I think some of you here are already having their own startups. Some of you want to start their own startups. Some of you are, in the food and tech scene as well. And without understanding really the underlying problems behind, what restaurateurs face, what the diners face, and everyone in that ecosystem, is really hard for you to come up with an idea, like a business idea that actually makes an impact. So I'll just let these mentors introduce themselves for a bit.
Jesse Herman, and I think you can do @Jesse Herman too if you want to. I'm La Condesa, Sway, and we have a couple of hotels, Hotel Ella, South Congress Hotel opening soon, some event spaces as well.
Hello, Vince Ashwell, and I'm with Restaurant Group. We have 24 Diner, Easy Tiger, Arrow, and Italic, and we have a little place called Irene's opening hopefully in about 5 months, and our next Easy Tiger a few months after that.
We just have Cilantro, that's it. I'm the founder and owner of Cilantro Barbecue. I started out of a food truck 5 years ago. Just opened up a first restaurant on South Lamar, and we'll be opening a second one in 2 weeks on Burnett.
Hi, I'm Mando Rayo. By day, I'm a digital and creative strategist. By night, a taco journalist. Yeah, we started reviewing tacos through our blog, Taco Journalism, before the Yelp years, actually. Wrote a book, Austin Breakfast Tacos. We're starting the next one, Tacos of Texas, 8 to 10 cities, in this fine state of ours. I'm happy to be here.
Great, so now let's do the elevator pitches.
All right, so the format for the elevator pitches is pretty simple. What we're going to do is each startup will give a 1-minute pitch, and then we'll give a chance for the panelists to give some feedback. But the smaller caveat is that all the startups are not allowed to actually say anything for the feedback. They're not actually allowed to respond. So what we're trying to do here is really help the startups understand what are the questions that their customers are really asking when you're giving a pitch. And so they're not right away answering a question just as a canned question. So let's get started. First is Champa.
Next, you want to come here? So this is Trump's team right here. So we started off about 9 months ago, and basically we are a food finding app. So if you ever walked into a restaurant and asked, what's good here? Or if you ever crave for a particular dish, for instance, or if you really can't decide what to eat, and a visual menu would really help you, we try to solve that for you. So we really try to get you to decide on what to eat, where to eat, as fast as you can. And for the restaurants, we really want to give you a way to personalize your advertising. Starting a restaurant is always difficult. We've heard that from a lot of restaurant owners. And if we can advertise your dishes instead of just the restaurant itself to people that will like those dishes, given the signals that they give us, that is also what we try to give for the restaurants as well. So yeah, basically what I'm going to pitch.
I guess now you guys are going to give feedback to them. Any questions?
So let me clarify. So the idea is an elevator pitch, right? Everyone knows what an elevator pitch is. You get into an elevator, there just so happens to be a very nice VC next to you, and you got about 30 seconds to talk to them. And so what are you going to say, and what is that one request that you're going to make, right? And they might, if it doesn't click in their brain, they're not going to give you their card. So, that's what we're kind of looking for, is like give your initial reaction, like, I didn't get it. Or yes, here's my card, kind of thing.
I'm cheating because I kind of studied all the companies that were going to be here today. So I can go ahead and first discover great dishes around you. So it's a peer review, more like a visual marketing. It's the current tools that we're using as a restaurant. We use Yelp to communicate and see the reviews. Instagram with hashtags and Twitter. So in order for us to use your services, it needs to stand out and for us to use and concentrate on your services, because there's so many competitors out there that I thought in order for me to use Chomp, it would have to stand out for me to say, I'm going to concentrate on this service instead of Twitter or Instagram.
I think for me, from a food technology standpoint, I'm always looking for ways that will make my business better, and that for me has been looking for more B2B solutions out there that exist. Because there's been a lot of focus on, social web, and there are a lot of sites out there, and I don't really use them. I control our pages on them, but I don't really, engage totally. We do monitor it sometimes. I don't, really personally, but I think that there's so many ways to market. In my case, a business like Instagram, Facebook, and what we choose not to use, Yelp. I think that the reason that we do even monitor that is because of the volume we have. So, to me, if it tips at some point and there's a certain volume there, then of course, we would sort of engage with that, piece of technology to an extent. But I also have a huge desire for more, business-related solutions that help us conduct our business day to day, and I see a lot of new technology businesses that are very much focused on the social, component of it.
Yeah, the point of entry for things like Twitter and Instagram, it's very easy for a chef to get an Instagram account because someone can help them with it. Oftentimes when these other ways of marketing outwardly facing to our customers comes up, the first question is how much time and energy is it going to take? Because it's very hard to get a chef out of the kitchen to upload a recipe, or basically who's going to carry those buckets. And at what point does the momentum or enough restaurants getting involved make it worth his time and our time of doing that?
I guess when I think about, all whether it's Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, and, Chomp, how does it build community, right? Because eating is communal. Sure, you have people eating by themselves, but nowadays there's a connection. So I guess that's just a question. It's like, how does it build community?
Cool, let's give him a hand.
Next, we have Entree.
Hey everyone, my name is Sid. I'm a UT sophomore, and Jesse back there and I founded Entree back in October. So what Entree is restaurant point of sale made smarter. We help full service restaurant owners not only have an intuitive point of sale system with consumer level ease of use and design, but a point of sale system that helps them integrate all the other software solutions they seek to use, be it accounting, to payroll, to mobile checkout and online reservations. And what this does, these seamless integrations give owners access to data that they haven't been previously uncovered. We're trying to help owners look at trends in their restaurant operations that current point of sale systems and disparate software solutions can't possibly give them. So we're trying to run a more connected, we're trying to help owners run a more connected restaurant and ultimately a smarter restaurant. Thanks.
Great. Feedback.
If there's one thing that existed, for our business that we would like, it's something like that. And we've talked to some people who have tried to, launch similar things, but the information, I think, in the restaurant business, a lot of decisions are made without access to accurate information based on what people, say. You can go into the kitchen at the end of the night and ask the chef, hey, how'd the specials sell? And they'll say, oh, they were really, really good. And then you can look at the information, they barely sold any of them. So having access to that information, we're fairly real time as far as, our costing is concerned. Decisions, any piece of information that we need to make decisions, we can bring up pretty fast when one person's job is, that's all that they do. But it's complicated, and we are dealing with a lot of analog information, dealing with distributors. This stuff comes on paper and dot matrix printers, that's how your invoices come. The process of entering that information, getting it, also connecting different pieces of technology that we have, like our point of sale system or inventory management system. Point of sale system can come with an inventory management system, but it's not an inventory management system. So
You gotta love it more.
So you may not use those, so you'll want to connect two other ones, or you go to a point of sale system and they say, yeah, we can connect with this other inventory management system or with your reservation system, and then you need some API or some kind of interface to do it, and it turns out maybe they can't, even though they told you they can, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company, So it's very, very complicated. One of the issues that we run into, we met with some guys from a pretty major startup here that's been really successful who were looking for something to do, and that was an idea that they had, and we talked to them and met with them a bunch of times and ran through some scenarios. Is that we believe, it seems like for a technology novice, that stuff is obviously cloud-based, and our reservation management system is now, we don't use OpenTable. There are some challenges in having to connect physically within the restaurant, and in instances of losing network access and stuff like that, or how things are sent and fired. If that type of system came out that allowed you to do that, allowed you to do all your reporting, all your reservations, all your point of sale, all your mobile ordering, you have a million customers out there. It's a very, very complicated process the deeper you get into it, but that's ideally one of the things that I wish we had. That's kind of the number one thing we wish we had is software that connects all of those things for us and makes the work a little bit less analog.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that I would have liked to have heard is how you kind of set yourself apart from some of the big gorillas like Aloha and Micros, because they do have a lot of integration, because that's where the customer base is. And so our accounting system, for example, integrates with Aloha or vice versa. And there's a lot of programming around that in terms of integrating with it. But the point of entry is expensive. It feels very kludged in terms of how it all comes together, with things kind of working here or not working there. So if you're going to say you're able to integrate a bunch of different technologies, it'd be great to hear kind of how you're different from some of these bigger players like NCR and those kinds of folks.
You're gonna be a billionaire. Because if you like how Elm Group and Ballet Crown have shared, there are a lot of challenges, especially in my industry, fast casual. For me, I'm a small business owner, so I'm always looking for something that's better, that is more efficient, and that is cheaper. What you will allow me to do is cut my operations, time, so which I save money, and accounting. I spend a lot of money on those two to make sure my business, runs efficiently. So if you can solve that problem, I think you're going to be just fine. Here, my questions based on what I've looked at your website. My question was, have you worked in a restaurant? Have you interviewed at least 50 business restaurant owners and gained insights on what are the challenges they're facing today? Why should I trust you when there are programs like Aloha or Micros that's been around for such a long time, and it's plus Square? You're going to be able to beat them in services, price, customer service in order for you to become successful. So those are the questions that I had for you.
I guess, when go to a lot of taco shops, a lot of them don't have the apps. So, I guess part of it is like, if you do, want to go into maybe the smaller business market, how do you bridge the digital gap there, And so are you just focusing on middle tier and higher tier? So really think about the small business owner that they're just starting out, and a lot of them may not be that tech savvy or have even the infrastructure to support that.
I was just going to add one more thing. Flip the model so that it's not hardware and software based, and that the hardware doesn't matter, so they can use whatever hardware they want. You put it on an iPad, you can put it on other devices, and you have access to it, through the cloud. And then, the big problem with the companies that are out there, they just have huge market share, and there's a high barrier, a cost barrier. A lot of people can't afford that, which is why things like Square are great. Square's not robust enough for the kinds of restaurants that I do, and probably that you do. Give them the equipment, charge a licensing fee, do it like software, licensing, and so it doesn't cost a restaurant like one of ours or his, $20,000, $30,000 to set it up. Give it away for free, and then just get them by the month.
Cool. Let's give him a hand.
Next we have Pitch Deals.
Hi everyone, my name is Johan. Is this the probably?
Your mic sounds nice.
Yeah, I might just go without a mic. But anyways, this is actually a beta. We still haven't launched it. We have changed and pivoted a lot of it. So what Pitch Deals is going to be, that what I'm going to tell you is basically it's going to be like Priceline for restaurant. It's going to show all the restaurants, the list of all discounts and amount percentage where you can go eat nearby you. There's a lot of competition out there, but we are differential on the aspect that we're going to just get the restaurant owner say, when do you want to drive traffic to your place? Give you 5% to 50% off. And all we're going to be is a subscription base. Based on that, I think the restaurant owners always advertise to bring customers in, like during their happy hours or during their slow times, where we're going to be that problem fixer for them so they can drive more traffic in and move inventory and keep employees on their place, because we're going to let them know when the consumers are going to come at the same time. That's Pitch Deals.
In general, we kind of don't do many, deals or discounts, and it just happens to be the kind of restaurants that we run. And the only experience that I have doing that is probably like 2009 or 2010, when Groupon was actually like kind of cool and interesting before it went downhill. We did that, and we were pretty methodical about figuring out how the deals best worked for us. And I think a lot of people had really bad experiences with Groupon, and we actually had pretty good experience up front. It was actually really good for us financially the way it worked out. But I think one of the issues that we had was that the people who were coming and using Groupon weren't our regular customers anyway, and we didn't really get much, repeat business from it. And, so it's definitely challenging. I mean, we have some stuff that we do during, happy hour and that stuff. I mean, we kind of have a good problem in that we don't need to drive a lot of traffic during those times. But I think that you might have some valuable input for that type of app, more than me probably.
Yeah, we don't like Groupon either. The questions, well, thank you for using our kimchi fries. That is ours. And we met for the first time today too. I'm happy to send you better pixels though for your future upgrade. My questions that I had was, how do you save money by sharing on social media? Who is going to reward you? Who is your target market? And Jesse mentioned it right. It's not, I don't think it's for restaurants like Elm Group or Jesse's restaurants. It could be more like ours, or more fast casual based. And I was gonna say this again, most restaurants I know, or most owners that I've talked to, don't usually like Groupon or Living Social and things like that. So I think you really have to stand out from them and really stay away from saying we're like Groupon but we're not, and I think you can make a successful model.
So I guess think about your target market. If you want a foodie, you probably won't, this will be hard to sell, a foodista, whatever. Somebody that wants quality food, and usually when you look at Groupon or these types of apps, it's the one that wants to save $1 and they don't really, it's more about the saving versus the food experience. So just something to think about.
Yeah, I really don't have much to add, but there's certain words that make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, like coupon and discount. So be careful about the words you use, and also even comparing it to Priceline, because my impression of Priceline, although as a consumer it's fine, to compare maybe where I'm coming from as a restaurant person, maybe not a group I want to join.
Okay.
Thank you. Next we have Reservation Genie.
Hi, my name is Ivan. I work with Reservation Genie, and we provide an alternative to OpenTable. What a lot of customers don't realize is that OpenTable charges restaurants an arm and a leg, and a lot of them don't really like the system because it comes with per person fees. And so we've set up a system that lets them basically build a dining community that doesn't come with per person fees. They add a widget to their website, and that introduces customers to our system. And then what we do is we reward customers for coming back frequently. So customers earn points, and depending on the points that they earn, they can earn perks at the restaurant. They don't have to be discounts, because a lot of restaurants have concerns with that. So a lot of the times the restaurants will set up something like a complimentary appetizer or complimentary chef's appetizer. And so we're trying to get restaurants to basically band together and support a community that has their goals and the customer's goals in mind. Thanks.
I think that my dream in our business is to never have a restaurant that takes reservations again. It's a really interesting space. I think your challenge is really how do you differentiate yourself from the other ones. Obviously, price is a huge differentiator. OpenTable, at the end of the day, is very, very expensive. I don't use OpenTable, but I have in the past, and there were no alternatives until recently, and now there are a lot of alternatives. So in a sense, I think that there's more opportunity there, but it's also more crowded. And so how do you differentiate yourself from some of those? Although some of those that are good and ones we've liked out there end up getting bought by OpenTable too. So maybe if you can just get some momentum, you become a good acquisition target, like ResBook or something like that. I'd say another thing that really interests me some of the restaurants we're doing right now are specifically developed to not take reservations. but what's really important to us is table management. And there are some point of sale systems that allow you to do table management, but we haven't found those apps as good. I like that you have a loyalty program that's not necessarily discounts. The way that we deal with our really loyal people is we'd rather give them something additional instead of taking a discount. So I think that that's really good. Again, I think your challenge is competing against some of the big ones, differentiating yourself against some of the new startups, and really how do you get out there and deal with it. And from a sales standpoint, I think they'll be challenging because I try not to take the calls because there's so many of them. But really trying to create a differentiating aspect of yours that makes that restaurant owner who's been approached by all of them, and it's crazy because they get my cell number and I don't even deal with that in my company. They'll call me directly. How do you give them the 1-minute pitch that makes them think for a second like, oh, this is different than a lot of the stuff that's out there, and it's going to work really easily. And also having a really good simple API widget that you can use on their site. Big thing that allows them to maintain the identity of their site and consistency of what their brand is without necessarily taking you somewhere else.
Yeah, there's a love-hate relationship with OpenTable. It's a great tool, but the pain point is the cost of it. It typically does a very good job, at least the way we use it, for table management and guest management to kind of manage the flow of the restaurant, particularly on busy nights. But if you can, if you can differentiate yourself enough, and the restaurant can get what they need from it without this ongoing cost. The more successful you are, the more expensive it is. So to address that, maybe offer a business model that works more along the lines of actually building guest relations might be the right approach.
Yeah, going off that's the one thing I thought of the guest relations is Austin is very about Austin, and they're very about they're loyal to where they go. They love their food, and so how do you represent that? Not only in the loyalty program, I'm going to get this for free, but I'm going to support this local business, and I think that's huge here in Austin.
I was trying to find an article that I read over the weekend that talked about what you're doing, and I wrote here, I think you're onto something, and that's ... And I need to share that email, that article with you, but it's a chef, high-end chef, who has waiting list for days, for people to get into. And he had some challenges because when people didn't show up, he lost money because it's all reservation based. So what he did was he realized that I need to get paid for this, right? If people don't show up, you need to pay me because you didn't show up. It's your fault. So he created something recently, in Chicago, where people reserve and they pay a deposit, and if you don't show up, that deposit goes to the restaurant. So that was a service that he kind of created to make sure that even if you flake out on me, you're gonna have to pay, because I have people that are willing to pay extra money to be here, but they can't because you made a reservation. But I'm happy to send you that article so you can read it. Next is the restaurant. I think so. Yeah.
It's called Talk, T-O-C-K, and we're doing a very small restaurant. It's 12 seats with Paul Keen, a hotel we're opening on South Congress. We're gonna be the first restaurant in Austin to use it. It originated as a ticketing system where you sort of prepay for a certain type of meal. A restaurant group in Chicago started it, and it's like they're very high-end restaurants with tasting menus where, you're really screwing us if you don't show up for that type of thing. So you're essentially paying for it ahead of time, and you can cancel if you have notice, if you give notice, but same as like a kind of like a hotel would work. And it's interesting because the program that we used was acquired by OpenTable, and we still use the product called ResBook that is still ResBook, and at some point it will cease to be, ResBook. OpenTable has become a little bit more flexible, but what's interesting about Talk, and you should check it out, is that it's evolved from just a ticketing platform to table management and a reservation system. It's a little bit more complex than some of the other ones. Like, for example, it has built-in surge pricing essentially that you can turn on for the prefix type of stuff. Like if you were buying a ticket and it's for a restaurant that if you're gonna go 5 o'clock versus 8 o'clock, it's really interesting. It's very, very new, so it's a little bit different. It's very specifically designed for their restaurants, and it only would work for a handful of restaurants. We're looking at it for primarily table management and not necessarily as a reservation system, although we are using the ticketing part of it. But it's very interesting. The guy who created it, his background is in finance, so he's kind of looking at how to maximize the overall profitability of a restaurant that is, for the most part, always crowded. So when you reach that kind of terminal, plateau, what can you do to make it better? It's very unique, but you should check it out.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, next we have Book Here, Cook Here, but they're presenting their app, Cater Fox.
Did you pivot overnight, Mom?
This is several months. So, hi, I'm Oleg Suthar. I'm a co-founder of Radial Connect. We are a B2B software startup for the restaurant space and the food space in general. So what you see on the screen is our first product called Book Here, Cook Here. It's to help commissaries, commercial kitchens manage all of their food companies that are looking for time to rent out, and then they can go to farmers markets, HEBs, Whole Foods, get their products in there. So, but it's not really targeted toward the restaurant space. So we have another product that's launching sometime over the summer, which is Cater Fox, which is more relevant to the panel. It's a B2B cloud-based catering management platform to help restaurant owners and all the catering managers across multiple your restaurants. If you've got multiple locations or a single location or food trucks, you can manage all your catering orders, all your customers in a single dashboard, easy to use dashboard. That way you are not tied down to your desktop to make a catering sale, or nor your field staff is. So we help you reduce your paperwork to take a catering order, to book it, to get customers on the platform. And then you can, we do analytics to help restaurants see who's ordered, where they're ordering from, how much have they ordered, what are popular dishes, and that way it can help you guys manage food operations. So it's really just, it's not consumer facing. We're not tying it yet to having orders being taken online, but it's to take your existing orders and help you and your staff get a better handle and reduce the paperwork and time. So I'd love to talk to you guys afterwards. So it's called Cater Fox.
So my sort of questions and comments would be similar to the reservation systems. There's a lot of products out there, but at the same time, there's not a lot of great products out there. And we've used a number of different ones, and I think that we're now integrating one called Triple C. And we have sort of, our needs in catering are, restaurant catering, and also hotel catering and event space. So it's the whole booking process and fulfillment. And so it's really kind of a similar thing. And I think the challenge is once people start using one of them, even if they're imperfect, they just end up sort of entrenched with this product. And we've had some challenges knowing that we were using what we consider to be inferior products and wanting to use new ones, and everybody being afraid that it was just going to be the same thing over and over again. So again, I think that challenge is sort of standing out in a field that is not my specialty within my company, but I'm aware of a lot of the products that exist there. And maybe a big benefit also is being able to integrate that stuff into the other systems, some of the ones that we've been talking about, like Reservation Genie or Entree, so point of sale, reservations and that type of stuff.
It wasn't entirely clear to me if this was a customer management system or if it was kind of all the way to the back office with managing the back to the kitchen and the menus and everything else. So our group is more event focused. We started using something called Gather about 2 weeks ago. And for us, that's been good so far because it's easy for people at disparate locations, chef down there, event coordinator at a different location, kind of coordinate and collaborate on menus and calendaring functions and all that stuff. And that's been a big help. But our back office stuff is pretty deeply integrated as far as the food costing and menu stuff. And so we kind of have a little wall we have to jump over to use both of them.
Yeah, I had the same question when I looked at your Cook Care website. What does it mean to say commercial kitchen management? I had a question about that. Kitchen management system on the cloud. I figured that was similar to a CRM type of software. Program names, apps, platter, like Banquet, that kind of confused me there, and I had to figure out, oh, okay, this is pricing structure. We use, so we have, food trucks, and we do a lot of weddings and company events and things like that with our food truck, and it's the most challenging part is to find a good system where it works. So we use general what other companies like party planners and things like that before, where it just didn't fit us. Right now we're testing out a CRM called a Pipe Drive, and it's allowing us to customize it a little bit more using a Google Drive and the emails that we're using, and it's been effective. But again, I think that you really need to get a feel of how these guys are operating. A lot of catering companies are out there that are doing maybe $5 million to $20 million. They've been around for a long time. They've been around for 10, 20, 30 years even. So they're very old school, right? But it works for them. And what you want to do is to go work for them and see, oh, these are, if they can use it, then anybody can use it, because they made it so simplified for them that it's going to be useful for everybody that's coming into the market as a caterer. So that hands-on experience I would recommend.
I really don't have much to add, except that during your pitch I was confused from this and Cater Fox. It wasn't very clear.
All right, let's do my hand. We've got a few more startups to go. Go ahead.
Yeah, if we can have Zapper up.
Hi, I'm Hunter with Zapper. I love Zapper. It's so simple. Zapper is a mobile app that lets you pay your bill at a restaurant by scanning a QR code we put on your receipt that you get at the end of the meal. You scan the code with our app, and you've paid faster than this elevator pitch. You pay so fast. In addition to this really unique user experience, we give restaurants a customer engagement platform where they can look at all of their Zapper user data, keep track of it, see who comes into the restaurant, see who the best customers are. So we give the restaurant this cool app, we give them a customer engagement platform, but what some of our restaurants really like is that we only charge 1.8% credit card processing. It's like, that's what you like? That's the part you like, the 1.8%? Okay. When a customer pays with the app, you instantly get a confirmation of payment at your POS system. You can close them out right away. No more worrying about splitting bills, no more swiping cards, no more making change. With Zapper, you'll really be able to put a fuller focus on customer service. Thank you.
All right, feedback.
I've been approached by a lot of startups that do different types of payment options, and some of them try to integrate, be more social, and some don't. Some are about splitting bills or whatever. A lot of them have to integrate technology in somewhere into our technology, like they wanted to add a iPad to our point of sale system or something like that. Those things we're really wary of. So I think one of the things to really be careful about is how invasive your technology, whether it's the hardware or the software, is on the existing systems that the restaurants use. And for the most part, we're all using point of sale. So however you do integrate into that stuff, or if it's outside of it, how then we reconcile it. And I think a lot of us are very wary of creating extra steps once we've trained staff to be able to do something. Anything different becomes challenging. The training and the change is very challenging. That being said, I think especially the two of us are very aware and want to adopt new technologies. So showing how it can be really simple and how that benefits us is good. The other thing is a lot of us probably have a long-standing relationship with our credit card processors. It doesn't matter for certain things like Amex because it is what it is. But with regards to the other one, that's potential competitive advantage that you have, because I bet you we're all paying different rates depending on there's a weird sort of system of middlemen that kind of broker in that stuff. But that's potentially a huge competitive advantage, is keeping that low.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what the adoption for QR codes is. I mean, if it's something that people identify and use, and it's just kind of everyday life now. The other thing is credit card rates that are lower than you get is just found money, so that's good. And then lastly, it wasn't clear to me whether your system was integrated with something existing, if it was something that was kind of a holistic point of sale, or if it was kind of a standalone deal. And as was mentioned, that can kind of scare people off if it's something that they're adding, a process they're adding to something that already works.
Can QR code look more prettier? That was my question. Because I think it's ugly looking. But anyways, that's not the point here. The point is, does the business work? Yeah, I think we're looking for resaving money. You mentioned 1.8%. That is considerably low compared to Square or a lot of merchants, and especially fast casual. We're looking for that point something off, because that changes, our bottom line. So if you offer that, let's talk. Is the restaurant gaining customers' information? That is very valuable to us too, especially we're very social. Now we're very social media, we like to engage in social media. So if we can gain customers' information, emails and things like that, that becomes very valuable to us. And because we're able to tell what percentage of our customers are coming back within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, based on the information that is provided for us. So those are great information.
Yeah. I think you should shy away from QR codes. I don't think a lot of people use them. Look at Apple Pay, Venmo. If there was a Venmo for restaurants, because that's relationship, person to person pay. And if you have one that's relationship from consumer to restaurant, I think that would go a longer way than the QR code.
Cool, let's give my hand.
So unfortunately, Jesse has another appointment, and he's gonna leave now. But I'd like to thank him for taking his time
Thanks,
to
Jesse.
tonight.
Sorry to have to go. If you want my email or anything, you can get it through these guys.
Yeah,
Feel free to shoot me an email.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jesse, for coming.
All right, next we have Taste Coffee.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Federico. I'm one of the co-founders of Taste Coffee, and our company believes two things. One, everybody is unique, and two, every problem can be solved through technology. So with that in mind, we're creating Tasty, an app that learns your food likes and dislikes to point you to your next favorite dish in Austin. Tasty is what happens when 3 engineers who want everything simple and automated and also love food get together. My team and I used to spend so much time finding out where's the best food in Austin, and what we quickly realized is that even between ourselves, we couldn't agree what's delicious. Demi loves olives, and I absolutely hate him. Moksika's vegetarian, and between Demi and I, we probably eat a cow a week, so it didn't work. What we needed was not more tools for searching where to eat. We need a solution for what's tasty for each of us. So if you're someone that loves to eat, or if you're a restaurant owner looking for the most accurate customer insights and analytics of food trends out there, come check us out at thisistasty.com.
Feedback.
That sounds good. I think I'm thinking, when you buy something on Amazon, you might like this. It's kind of the approach. Without knowing too much about it, it sounds interesting.
So my question is, how engaging is it, and how much time can you capture a consumer while they're using this, based on how many questions are you going to ask and what type of result are you going to get? Is it fun because they want results? I just kind of saw the age thing that pops. I don't know what it's called, but it's showing up a lot on my feeds.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, what's the point, right? But I think it's fun. A lot of people are using it, and they're gaining data out of it. So I think if you make it fun, then I think it's a great idea. How engaging and fun you can get. And Zapper, he showed me earlier. Based on the tip amount, the emoticon, it smiles like bigger and has got like heart on the eyes, and it was fun to me. And I would be like, okay, I'm gonna tip 20%. So I think that the engagement, how you can engage and how you're gonna make it fun, would determine the success of how many people adapt to your app.
Yeah, I don't know. I've actually learned a little bit about this probably 3 months ago, so I'm not sure how it's evolved since then. But understanding and hearing a little more about how the app evolves as people's tastes, the feedback loop. In other words, like, how do you work that into the program, or does it? And then the other one too is who manages that relationship between the customer. Is it a one-to-one with the restaurateur? Is it managing the recipes as strictly as far as they go? And how much time and effort that takes too? Those are all questions I would have.
Great.
And then the very last one is silently.
This is Nick. Say Nick owns a restaurant. He wants to let his customers know that there's a special this week, so he puts up a sign. Then he wants to let them know that he's an employee of the month, so he puts up another sign. Then he wants to let them know about his Instagram feed, so he puts up another sign, and another sign, and another sign. Before you know it, the walls of his restaurants are cluttered with all these illegible, hard-to-read signs that in no way help customers connect with his business. What is poor Nick to do? Enter Signagely. We are a digital signage solution for the connected world. We make it easy for restaurants to take their televisions and their computer hardware and integrate it with our cloud-based subscription model. From our website, you can build signs, turn them into shows, and push them out to all your TVs. Whether you have 1 or 100, it doesn't matter, it integrates with our platform. We have a bunch of ready-made templates that you can fill in, like menu boards. We also let you upload custom images, and we provide integration with social media like Instagram or Twitter. If you want to learn more about it, we're at the big TVs in the back. My name is Ben, I'm the CTO. This is Nick, our CEO and principal founder. And then Mario's way there in the back, he's our marketing guy. If you have any questions, please come find us. Thank you.
Sure, I'll start. My first initial reaction when I saw it was, is this a PowerPoint? Wasn't sure what I needed to do, but when I opened my first restaurant, I wanted to be interactive, and I used a service. It was a free service that feeds like Twitter feeds and Instagram feeds on a screen. So I used it for that purpose. My question would be, how much is it? And would you be doing the PowerPoint for me to make it presentable?
How are you going to compete against sports? And where does the content live outside of a physical television screen? I think that could be an interesting way to, put new content out there that could live in the onlines.
No, those are all good comments. To kind of echo what I heard a moment ago, just how much are you guys involved in the creative process, and what can you bring to particularly a small operator that doesn't have a lot of time or a lot of headspace for that? How can they get somebody out there that's cool and reflects who they are to the guest versus whatever may be playing on the television set?
Right. I mean, there are freelancers out there, but they are expensive. So if you guys are freelancers, where it takes every artwork or whatever it is that we like to showcase, and you guys are making it presentable for us to showcase, and that would be great. I think one of the things that I've been kind of playing around with was Canva. It's just very social. I just put a picture and they make a template for me. I just post it on our social media. So it's very simple, but I think that you guys are wanting to go beyond that and make it more interactive at a physical place. So.
Let's give him my hand. Thank you. That's my favorite entrepreneur of the night, because he had a little notepad and he was taking notes. That's something that we taught at Tech Ranch to all the entrepreneurs, was to capture that feedback on the paper. It does something in the brain. To help. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Joffrey to do the Q&A.
All right. I think we're running short on time here, so I'm going to be brief. I'm going to lead off with one two-part question for our restaurateurs and mentors here. So for the restaurateurs, with my conversation with a few restaurant owners, I think there's a two-part phase to a restaurant business. One is when you just started it and you're trying to make it grow, I guess, reach that tipping point. And then once you reach that tipping point, it's a whole another, you have a different set of problems that you're facing and everything. So I kind of wanted to, very curious about your stories here, how you guys started your restaurant, how you guys grew it, reached that tipping point, and then sort of the challenges you face in each, and your breakthroughs.
Well, we started, I believe, 6 years ago with 24 Diner, and they're sport partners. We all do different things. You could probably tell by my public demeanor that I'm the back of house guy. But what really changes is when you go from one location to two locations, or two concepts to three. It becomes around that third one that your needs become very different, and you stop being an entrepreneur, and you have to be more specialized. And you're looking for all the advantages you can in terms of technology to leverage what you do know to get you the information you do need without having to spend an arm and a leg to do it, or a lot of time doing it. And then the challenge as you grow beyond that, as we are right now, is finding great people to get into the right places and the right roles so that you can grow as fast as you can. And it's a very challenging environment right now for probably any company right now in Austin. It's a very, there's not a whole lot of people banging at the door to come work, but we are getting great quality people, which is a lot different than a few years ago. But the problem is we're having to grow at such an exponential rate the number of people we had to hire over the last 24 months, we're gonna have to do in the next 4 months. And that's a big challenge because you're starting to really stretch the limits of your founders, whether it be the partners or people that are around from the very beginning that understand how you built that success. And the HR component of that can be very dry and not easy to convey. And that's a huge challenge for us, huge.
I agree with you that finding people in Austin right now is very difficult. I started Cilantro about 5.5 years ago. I had $60,000 for the duration of 6 months to survive. And I have another panel that's coming up on Wednesday. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And one thing that all the entrepreneurs can agree is you work your ass off because even if you fail, the venture current fails, at the end of the day, you learn something. And I had 2 businesses before which failed, but those failures, I realized those are some challenges and the mistakes that I've made. And I didn't want to make that with Cilantro. And one thing that I didn't want to compromise was my effort, my heart, giving my heart out until either I fail and run out of money and people don't like it, but I'm going to give it all I got. Because at the end of the day, if I am happy that I gave all I got, that's all that matters. I learned something from it, and I can move forward. I can get up again and do it again and again and again. And at some point, you are at where you want to be, or it's unimaginable that you're where you are. So, that's the lessons that I've been learning through operating and owning Cilantro. Obviously, the challenges are a little bit difficult for me now, and it used to be a physical challenge where it's more of a mental challenge. Hiring great people is one. Creating system for the team is one, because we've doubled in size and we're about to triple in size. So these are some challenges that I'm facing today.
I have a digital agency, but I can actually relate. And at the end of the day, it's people, it's relationships. If you don't have the quality people, you don't have the right people in their place, and they're happy of what they want to do, then it's going to be really hard to succeed. So at the end of the day, it's everything that you do whether it's a business, in a community, it's relationships. And if you don't have strong, solid relationships where you can bring in the right people that believe in what you're doing, believe in your mission, then it's going to be really hard.
Thanks. So I'll open this up for questions. I know you guys have a few. So just raise up your hands if you have any.
What's the best taco in Texas?
Well, it's probably not in Austin. No. That's, it all depends on,
Breakfast taco.
Oh, breakfast tacos, my go-to, I'm very traditional, and I go to Joe's Bakery on East 7th. Although, I gotta give Cilantro a shout out for their pork taco, so.
I've got a question. So I've started up things that failed. I was curious, what was like one major failure or mistake that you learned, one life lesson, I guess, in your running your businesses?
Well, I tell you what, I look younger than I really am. I'm 47, and when I was in my early 30s, I had the bad fortune of being part of a restaurant that failed. And there's no substitute for being inside the space and seeing it with your own eyes and seeing the guests, the body language, your employees, all of that. I mean, you can read all the data you want. You can read all the reports you want. You can look at all the trends and spark lines and all that stuff. But it's a human relations business, and when it comes right down to it, if you've done it long enough, a lot of us can just walk in there and feel it. We can feel a dying restaurant. We can feel a restaurant that's full of energy, and there really is no substitute for that. Just being in the space and interacting with people. And I promised myself I would never not do that again.
And top that.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna kind of cheat since I was there, but what is the main thing you look at when trying to adopt new technologies? What is there one specific factor that you look at and say, all right, I'll give it more than 30 seconds?
Is it easy? Does it take me days to learn this, or is it quick to learn? If it's gonna take me a month to learn, then is it worth it? Worth the investment?
I would definitely say echo that is, just look at everything else that people are using, like, Facebook and Twitter, and they make it easy. So how can you do that? But I would say second, is it beautiful? And how can you make it beautiful? Because we all want our photos to be beautiful, right?
Yeah, for us as a group that has several restaurants, one of the things that we have to be careful of, but is part of the decision making, is just the momentum you have in terms of how much time and energy and man hours you have invested on using something that's pretty good or really good, but maybe not as great at what you're pitching. But for a lot of groups that have literally hundreds of employees and several locations, where the pain factor of having to switch or change, even though it may be a little better, it has to jump pretty high to throw something overboard and start over. And I don't know if the approach to those kinds of businesses clearly has to be a little different than small startups or smaller places.
Yeah, back there.
How do you guys decide on new locations? What kind of research do you use currently?
Our partners have lived here since the 90s and 80s, so that's our biggest connection to the city in terms of knowing why a certain corner seems to always fail. It's just really crazy. Although that is changing quite a bit with all the new people here. We do some demographics research, but not a whole lot. We've seen people come in from out of state or out of the city with reams of data and demographics and say that's the perfect corner, and they're out of business a year later. So kind of knowing our city and knowing our blocks and neighborhoods is probably our best way of analyzing location.
The food truck business has allowed me to research a lot of different locations in a very, very fast manner. I had to determine which were the hot locations for us, which were the locations where the club people go to, so we can station ourselves right there when they get drunk and come out and eat with us. That helped us a lot, and usually we get second-handed restaurant space that 24 hours says we don't want to take it, and then realtor will come to me and say, do you want to take this? So right now we don't have that kind of leverage. But I was very fortunate with my first location, and I think it's a relationship that I built. It's a short period amount of time, 5.5 years, but I work hard and I try my best to play a fair game in the restaurant industry. Just people connecting me with the right people to go into a location that I feel very comfortable taking risk on. And so it was my second one. It was just based on the relationship that I had, that I was fortunate to get the space that I needed. But at the same time, Austin real estate is very hot right now. So it's going anywhere from 35, 45 to 50 somewhere. I'm sure that you guys are looking at more than
I don't know, 50, 60, I don't know, but you know, no, okay. But we just, you know, and being in a food truck, now being in a restaurant, I have a better understanding of how much square footage how much money I can spend per square foot. So it's an understanding that I'm kind of gathering from a real estate, from running a restaurant.
I like your second location.
Thank you.
I like the one on Burnett.
He lives right there.
I'm wondering, how do you guys do product development? Your food, is it just the chef by him or herself in the kitchen, or do you listen to customers? Do you look at food trends, and do you take into account nutritional factors and health? What is your process like?
I don't have a process, I just eat it. I'll let you guys answer that.
I'm not a chef, so I went online, obviously, and I experimented it with food. But I'm Korean, so I'm comfortable in knowing what's good and what's not. And I love Mexican food. I grew up in California. When I immigrated to the States, my parents sent me to Ojai Valley, California, which is a private school that there's no Asians exist. So I ate Mexican food all the time. So I've been blessed, but creation of Korean Mexican fusion, I think it's very fortunate because spice levels and everything is very similar. And it's a trial and error. Obviously, we listen to our customers. If they think that the price is too high, we take a look. We go on Yelp reviews and see what they're saying about the space. We pay attention to unbiased, biased reviews and kind of digest it and try our best to connect with our customers.
Yeah, Chef does all the menu development for us. Chef Curran or Chef Drew, one of the partners, he gets some feedback from us, but the most important feedback is from the guests, and which is not easy. I mean, when you create something, some part of your ego is in that, whether you're making a dish or an app or whatever, coming up here and pitching that, which is terribly brave. But you have to listen to the guests, and you have to look at the patterns. I mean, if it's the best thing you ever tasted, but you're only selling 2 a week, it has to come off the menu, you know? And that's the biggest thing. When you open a restaurant, you have a vision of the food and what it's going to be like, but those first several weeks especially, you're constantly reacting to, but not overreacting to all those comments and guest impressions and stuff that is moving or isn't moving.
I think we have time for one more question. Man, this is hard. I think the guy in the back, green shirt.
Yeah, happy May the 4th. Be with you, how do you monetize new technology and processes in the food space? So if you have a way of doing things where maybe it's lower fat or faster cooking, or you find a way to improve flavor without changing the recipe through a physical process, what are the best ways to plug into the industry with that kind of stuff?
That's a great question that I don't have an answer to. What should I say? I think the technology has, like, for example, equipment, I think. Technology is now embedded into our equipment that we're using to give more accuracy. So that has helped us out tremendously. Machines are being invented to help us to cut labor hours, and safety is one. But at the same time, there's a company called, oh man, I forgot what it's called, but they have just mayo, right? I mean, they're using technology to create mayonnaise and cookies, but they were funded by Bill Gates.
Hampton Creek.
Hampton Creek, you're right. So look into that, and that's such an interesting company.
So the question was, how do you monetize bringing in new technologies?
Yes.
For us, it's about making our employees' lives easier. And if we can do that, we feel like it immediately transfers to the guest experience. So while we put a lot of focus on the bottom line, it starts with the top line. And for us, when we monetize it, we're looking for the amount of effort we want to put forth to get the results. And sometimes that is a difficult process, like the iPad ordering. It's faster, but we've had to be very careful about how we train the wait staff so they don't lose that connection at the table. They're not looking at a piece of glass, they're looking at the guests and reading the guests and talking to the guests. But to answer your question, it's about trying to have a very high standard and getting there as efficiently as possible. And that usually just means less time and energy either up front or across the life of whatever you're doing.
So I want to thank again Jay, Vince, and Mondo for taking the time tonight to talk with us. So I think if you guys could stay for a bit to kind of mingle around and answer some questions, that'd be perfect. I think I'll appreciate that. Hand it over to.
Well, first let's thank you. Let's give him a big round of applause. I did make a promise that I want to keep, because just like Game of Thrones, I pay my debts, right? Glinda, would you like to introduce? So every meetup, this is just a big experimentation that I do every time. And so we learn things, we change them up. And so tonight we tried something very, very new, and we call it a whiteboard session. So at the first table there, you'll notice there's a startup that didn't come up and pitch yet, because what we did is we took kind of like big brother, big sister kind of thing, and we paired up. I get a lot of mentors who want to help startups, and I don't know what to do with them, because I don't want to run a whole mentoring, connect you to, I shoot a lot of intros and emails, but I said, how can we bring the mentors into the space? So we're trying something, the whiteboard session, and Glinda, go ahead and introduce your startup real quick and give us just the quick 30 seconds about what you guys learned from tonight leveraging the community.
Sure. So I'm Glinda Beasley. I have a company called Marketing Mileage, which is high octane strategies. I do brand building, and then I help brands bring themselves to life. And I've done a lot of work in packaged goods and retail. And so I was asked to partner with these fine folks over here, and Abhishek and it's Tay, have come up with an app that will enable you to pick your mood and then pick which restaurant can suit that, which I think is a great idea, because as much as I'm a foodie, I also like to go to a casual restaurant or a business meeting or a date night or wherever. I'm the right place. And I think people will look for that. Didn't see a lot of competition in that space. And when we spoke on the phone, asked a lot of revenue models and marketing questions, and who are you targeting, and what, how are you paying for this, and so forth. And it's a free app to the consumer, and they're hoping to start in Austin as a test and then scale to other markets. But the way that they want to fund it is through providing this research to the restaurants. So what I suggested this evening, and not having worked for these before, I didn't understand the flow, but was that we really hone in on what the restaurant owners like yourselves would do with research like that, if it's valuable, if it's something that you would pay for or have paid for in any format, what did you pay for it, and how could it help you, and what topics would you like to see if you could have this real-time information where people are picking, the restaurants, and have all that sort of demographic, and if you would like to share the other reports you can run.
So we thought that initially we can start with 3 reports. One is mood-based, that in this specific city, what is the mood that is prevalent and how that is trending the restaurants. So if you think of menus, that new menus, what is really applicable. So if Q is trending or some other restaurants are trending, a cilantro is trending, and you can learn from that. The other can be the demographic information both on the block level and as well as food preference level. That's how people in a specific segments go and what they eat and which other restaurants they are going to. So you can get a lot of information on your competitors. Also, you can, as a restaurant owner, you can see when we list you in a specific mood, you can also see why people are choosing you versus somebody else, or they're choosing more somebody else versus you. That is something that's the intelligence we want to collect and we can give back to the restaurant.
Yeah, when you go out to eat, like we're trying to bring humanity back to restaurants. I worked in a restaurant for 10 years. It's about creating an experience, and if you're out with your girlfriends, maybe you want to get a glass of wine, maybe you want to go to lunch, or maybe you want to splurge on something, like that salesmanship, right? When someone comes in the door, like you've already won half of them. So now it's just adding to that experience. So where Yelp, you know, you're looking at dollar signs or Italian, no, what if you're looking at how you feel? And just creating like that really strong bond, bringing feeling back.
So as you can see, they're a very, very eager, passionate group. So I would encourage the community, since they're a very newly forming startup, to go over there and give them lots of advice when we kind of get up and mingle for a little bit afterwards. So thank you so much for Glenda and Abhishek. And what was your name one more time? Tay. All right. So that's it for tonight. Just one thing that Kevin Coyne, one of my mentors, who's the CEO of Tech Ranch, I usually steal all of his ideas, but he really engraved this in me, and I really want to cultivate this in this space as well, which is you took the time investment to come here tonight. So make sure that, since we're building a community here, make sure that you leave tonight with more value for your venture and for the ventures in this room, okay? And so that's what we're trying to create here. So set your calendars, June 1st, 6:30 to 8:30. We're going to be doing PR for food and tech companies. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out.